Let me ask you something that will sting the moment it lands. What happens when the very woman who once believed you would never stop chasing her suddenly realizes you've stopped caring? Not slowed down, not paused, not given her less attention, but fully, completely stopped caring. Do you know what that does to her? It shakes her to the core. It dismantles the image she had of herself as the center of your world. And here's the part no one ever tells you. That moment, the exact second she feels your indifference, becomes the moment she fears you the most, because she knows she cannot control a man who no longer needs her. Men spend years thinking the way to keep a woman is to give more. More attention, more affection, more chasing. And yet, the harder you run after her, the faster she runs away. But the second you stop running, the second you pull your energy back, she feels it like a shadow following her everywhere. You may not say a word, you may not fight or argue, but your silence will echo louder in her mind than all the sweet words you ever spoke. This video is not about playing games. It's about showing you the brutal psychology behind why indifference is more powerful than anger, why detachment speaks louder than desperate love, and why a woman can only respect the man who is willing to lose her rather than lose himself. Stay with me until the very end, because once you understand this, you'll never chase validation the same way again. You'll finally see why the moment she realizes you're no longer interested is the moment everything changes. When you finally pull your energy back, when you detach from her, something profound happens that most men don't fully understand. You think you're just stepping away. You think you're simply tired of playing her games, tired of chasing, tired of proving yourself to someone who doesn't seem to value you. But in her world, that shift is catastrophic. Because whether she admitted it or not, her confidence was partially built on your consistent attention. Your validation wasn't just background noise, it was her fuel. It was the constant reminder that no matter how she acted, no matter what she did, there was always someone who would show up for her, someone who would chase her, someone who would keep her ego inflated. And when you stop giving her that, the ground shakes beneath her feet. It's important to understand why this happens. Attention is currency. For many women, the chase, the pursuit, the endless validation becomes a form of security. She might not have wanted you fully, but she wanted to know she could have you if she needed to. That's where her power came from. Not in genuine connection, but in control. And here's the brutal truth: the one who cares the least always has the most power. As long as she knew you cared more, she felt safe in that imbalance. But the day you stop caring, the day you decide to walk away emotionally, suddenly the scales flip and she feels powerless. This is why detachment is so much louder than confrontation. You don't need to scream. You don't need to argue. You don't need to announce that you're done. You simply withdraw the very thing she was addicted to. Your focus. Your eyes no longer light up when she enters the room. Your voice no longer carries that eagerness when you speak to her. Your presence no longer bends itself around her moods and desires. And that shift creates a silence that screams louder than any words you could ever say. Think about it. When someone you barely care about ignores you, it doesn't matter, you move on. But when someone who used to care deeply suddenly doesn't, it's devastating. It makes you question yourself at the deepest level. Did I lose something valuable? Was I not enough? Did he find better? What happened? Those questions don't just pass through her mind once. They stay, they echo, they haunt. And ironically, the woman who thought she was in control suddenly finds herself spinning in uncertainty because the security she had in your interest has collapsed. Here's where men get it wrong. They think staying interested, constantly showing love, constantly proving themselves is what will make her stay. But the truth is, overinvestment kills respect. When you're always available, always chasing, always showing you'll do anything to keep her, she doesn't see your devotion as strength. She sees it as weakness. She feels safe in the knowledge that you won't leave, but she also loses respect for the man who has no boundary, no self-control, no ability to walk away. Your energy becomes background noise, something always present, never scarce, never valued. But scarcity creates value. And the second she feels your absence, she begins to realize what she's lost. That's why detachment is not about being cruel. It's about reclaiming balance. It's about saying my time, my energy, my love, they are not free. They are not unlimited. They are precious. And they will not be wasted on someone who doesn't value them. That shift forces her to see you differently. Not as someone who exists to orbit her, but as someone who has a world of his own, a man who can live without her, a man who doesn't need her validation to feel whole. And let's be honest, that is the most attractive thing a man can embody: independence. Detachment signals strength, not weakness. It shows you are capable of loving deeply, but not at the cost of losing yourself. It shows you can give attention, but you can also take it away. And that balance is what creates real respect, real desire, real attraction. So when you stop chasing, when you withdraw your energy, when you no longer hand over your power through desperate attention, you're not just making her wonder. You're reminding yourself of your own worth. You're proving that you don't need her to complete you, and that realization alone flips the entire dynamic. And here is the closing truth I want you to take with you: when you detach, you do not lose her. You find yourself. And in finding yourself, you force her to finally see you, maybe for the very first time. Indifference is something most people misunderstand. They think it means you hate her, that you've turned cold, that you've stopped caring because of bitterness. But true indifference doesn't come from hate. It comes from freedom. It comes from reaching that point where her approval no longer dictates your mood, where her presence or absence no longer controls the rhythm of your life. And that is what terrifies her more than anything else. Because anger still shows passion. Arguments still show investment. Even rejection can show that you are deeply hurt. But indifference says, I am no longer emotionally tied to you. I do not need you to validate me, to soothe me, or to complete me. You are no longer the center of my universe. That silence is the loudest statement you could ever make, and it cuts deeper than any words you could ever throw at her. This is why indifference becomes the ultimate power. It strips her of control. When you're angry, she still knows she has the power to affect you. When you're pleading, she knows she's the prize. When you're chasing, she knows she can withhold and still keep you around. But when you are unmoved, when your heart and mind no longer bend to her, she suddenly loses that control. And human beings, men and women alike, fear one thing more than rejection: irrelevance. To her ego, being irrelevant to you is the ultimate loss. It means she no longer has a hold on you. It means her beauty, her charm, her games, her manipulation, none of it works anymore. And here's the paradox: the very moment she realizes she cannot control you is the exact moment she starts craving your attention again. Why? Because your indifference reveals your strength. It shows her you were never weak for loving her. You were weak when you couldn't let go. Now that you can, now that you've shown her she doesn't own you, you've become the man she cannot easily forget. Think about this deeply. In a world that thrives on constant attention, social media likes, messages, validation from strangers, being indifferent is a rare quality. It means you're not addicted to validation. You're not enslaved to the need for approval. And that independence makes you magnetic, because people are drawn to those who don't need them. People want the man who doesn't crumble without them. That is the psychology of attraction. It's not the one who begs for love that's desired. It's the one who can walk away with dignity. But indifference is not about pretending. You cannot fake it. You cannot act cold while secretly checking her phone, stalking her socials, and obsessing over her next move. That's not indifference. That's self-deception. True indifference is when you are genuinely fine whether she stays or leaves. It's when you've invested so much in your own growth, your own purpose, your own life, that her role in it is not a dependency but a choice. If she adds value, she's welcome. If she doesn't, you can carry on without her. That's real power. And the most shocking part, this indifference makes you more attractive than all the effort, all the chasing, all the endless validation you ever gave, because it signals to her subconscious mind that you are a man in control of himself, a man who cannot be manipulated, a man who has standards and boundaries. And whether she admits it or not, women respect men who can stand alone. So when you stop reacting, when you stop pouring your energy into someone who only wanted to test how much you could take, you flip the entire dynamic. She's no longer the one evaluating your worth. You become the one deciding hers, and that shift in perspective changes everything. Because suddenly, she realizes the game is over. She cannot win when you no longer play. And this is the lesson you need to carry with you. Indifference is not cruelty, it is clarity. It's the clarity that you are enough without her, that your value does not come from her attention, and that love is a choice, not a prison. Remember this truth: when you stop caring whether she stays or goes, that's when she finally understands your worth. And whether she comes back or disappears forever, you win either way. Because indifference sets you free.